our first speaker, Veronica Toscano. She is Chief of Staff for the Privacy Office at Cisco. I met her several years ago when we worked in the same building, different teams. And she has an outstanding story. And I very much encourage you to look on LinkedIn and look through some of her videos. She's also an encouraging speaker. She's going to come and talk to you this morning. And her story is one of, I will overcome, I can do this. And her message is, we all can do this. A fun fact about Veronica is that she backpacked solo through Europe. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Veronica, take it away.
Hello, can you guys hear me all right?
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with all of you. I'm excited because I'm in a virtual room with people who share the same passion as I do for cybersecurity. As Michelle mentioned, I did backpack through Europe by myself. Don't know how secure that was, but you know, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm here. So really grateful that nothing happened to me. When Michelle asked me if I'd be interested in sharing my story about imposter syndrome, I said, absolutely. Through sharing my personal story and battling, yes, battling, because imposter syndrome is a continuous fight, with hopes that you'll learn to challenge that voice in your head, advocate for yourself, and shoot your shot. It's time to say bye to the imposter syndrome. This is going to be an interactive session, so I would love to hear from all of you in the chat as to what you think imposter syndrome is. I have the chat window over here so I can on my other monitor. So if you could just start chatting away, that'd be great. I'd love just to hear what you guys think. And if you're not typing anything in there, you know, just ask yourself, like, what's holding you back from not typing in, you know, typing something into the chat. You know, imposter syndrome is doubting your abilities and feeling like a fraud. Yep, exactly. Feeling like a fraud. Yep, not feeling good enough, Vishnu. Thinking you don't deserve your position, Michael. Absolutely. I hear that from so many people. Not confident, David. Yep, you all like just nailed it. It's just doubting yourself and your abilities. And guess who this impacts the most? It impacts people like you and I, people that are high achievers. And let's take, for example, all of you here on this call. You guys are here because you decided to take this opportunity, right? And I just want to hear, like, have you ever felt like when you were applying for a scholarship or an internship or college, did you hear something in your head that was telling you you weren't good enough or making you doubt yourself? If so, I want to hear what you were telling yourself in the chat, and I'll go ahead and read it off. But in the meantime, I'll share my story. I didn't want to apply for scholarships when I was going to college because I was afraid I wasn't going to get accepted. I ended up getting 6 of the 7 scholarships I applied for, which essentially paid for 90% of my college, which is pretty cool. But imagine if I would have listened to that voice in my head, then I wouldn't have been a recipient of these scholarships. I would have been in a lot of debt. So yeah, Rohan, when you start feeling like how you can ever, you know, have a chance against everyone else, challenge that voice in your head, challenge that doubt. Caitlin, yes, when you feel you're not smart enough or it's too complicated, start challenging that doubt. Because, you know, when you don't challenge that doubt, you would have missed out on opportunities. I would have missed out on this opportunity to basically have a full ride scholarship to any college I wanted to attend. And this is why I'm here today. I don't want any of you to miss out on any future opportunities. What I want you to get out of today's session is to stop doubting yourself, which means challenging that voice in your head, advocating for yourself. You know what you want, you know what you need, ask for it. And lastly, more importantly, shoot your shot. I'm from the Bay Area, so I always think about Steph Curry with a shot. So make sure you shoot your shot. Most of my life, as Michelle mentioned, you know, I suffered from imposter syndrome, and, you know, Michelle mentioned a lot of people don't know they have it, and I didn't realize others had it as well. how I got over it was talking about it. So let's talk about it. English is my second language. I don't know if any of you can relate to that. If so, I would love to hear it in the chat, you know, if English is your second language and what is your first language. Mine is Spanish. As the result, when I was in a classroom or a meeting, I would hesitate on answering a question because I wasn't sure if I was going to use the wrong word, the wrong tense. And so I would spend so much time creating the right question or the right response in my head that someone else answered the question. Someone else asked the question. So I missed my opportunity to shine. And I said, no more, ya no más, like this is not happening. I'm no longer gonna miss my opportunity. I have to realize it's not about perfection, it's about progression. And that really just took me challenging that self-doubt that I had. Oh, yay, Samuel Ortega, yes, Spanish is your first language. John, Vietnamese. Yes, absolutely. Love hearing this. I love hearing that I'm not alone. And I don't know about any of you, if you guys can relate to this as well, but I'm the first in my family to go to college. I don't know how many of you can relate to that. But when you're the first in your family to go to college, there's a lot of pride because you're stopping the cycle. Samuel, yes, you too. Marlene, yes, absolutely. So, you know, when you're the first in your family to go to college, again, it's a prideful moment because you're stopping the cycle. You are creating the change not only for you, but for your family. For me, when I got to college, I felt like I didn't belong. I mean, all my peers, their parents had an education, their grandparents had an education. They had everything figured out for them. If they wanted to get financial aid or land an internship, get a job after college, study abroad, my peers had their family to go to. I didn't. I didn't have anyone to go to. I couldn't go ask my mom because she didn't go to college. But what I did have was that ambition to get things done and advocate for myself. I knew what I needed and I had the resources to get there. And what I did was, you know what? Here I am at the university. Let me schedule time with my financial advisor. Let me schedule time with the career advisor so that way I can land an internship. I can land a job after college. And lastly, my academic counselor, because I didn't even know there were opportunities to study in another country or study in another state. And I just wanted to make sure I was taking advantage of every opportunity that I was presented with. And that involved me advocating for myself. So I just went for it. Annabelle, I love your comment. You're speaking English, but you're still working on your fluency. And the last story that I'm going to share with you here is a very personal story. It's really hard for me to talk about, but like Michelle said, talking about imposter syndrome really helps you say bye to it. Up until last year, I never thought I was good enough. This stemmed from not coming from a picture perfect family. When I was 6 years old, my biological father shot and killed my 17-year-old brother. He then turned to shoot my mom. My mom survived. And as a result, my picture perfect family was shattered, right? I no longer had a brother, didn't have a dad. And I just often felt that I was not good enough. Who would want me? Who would want to be with someone that comes from a broken family that has a bunch of chaos? And it wasn't until last year that I decided I needed help. So I enrolled in therapy. And it was the best decision that I made for myself. I wish I would have enrolled in it a lot sooner. There's no time like the present. So talking to someone helps. So when you start doubting yourself, any of you on this call today, I want you, when you start feeling that you're not worthy or you don't belong, know that you are not alone. Talk to someone. Have an accountability partner. And that accountability partner will hold you accountable to know your full potential. As a result of me finally talking about it, I finally was able to say bye to the imposter syndrome. And it has been so amazing. I mentioned to y'all earlier that I don't want you to miss out on any opportunities. And so I decided to challenge that doubt, advocate for myself, and shoot my shot. And so many doors have been opening. Yesterday, I tuned into what y'all were saying, how do I know I'm ready for an internship? I haven't had any work experience. How do I know I qualify? I was in the same boat as y'all. I recently applied for a job opportunity, which is my current role, Chief of Staff for the Privacy Office at Cisco. I didn't meet 100% of the requirements. I barely met 60% of the requirements. I didn't know what a privacy impact assessment was. There were some certifications, and I remember hearing y'all talk about certifications yesterday, like SANS. I didn't have any of the certifications, but I decided, you know what? I'm going to shoot my shot. I'm going to apply. I'll let them tell me no. I'm not going to listen to that voice and tell myself no. And I remember Sheryl Sandberg, the Chief Operating Officer at Facebook, mentioning women apply to roles when they only need 100% of the requirements. Men apply when they meet 60 to 70%. And so here I was in the 60 to 70%. And honestly, why would any of you want to apply for a job when you meet 100%? If you meet 100% of the requirements, what does that mean? I want to hear, if you meet 100% of the requirements, that means you don't have an opportunity to grow and learn. So like I said, I challenged that self-doubt, advocated for myself. I focused on the transferable skills that I had. And I shot my shot and I was offered the position. And I'm just so glad I did. It's opened so many doors. I decided to face another fear. And it was post on LinkedIn. Now, remember earlier I had, Vishnu, I just want to shout out really quick, 3 years experience for an entry-level job. Absolutely. The job that I applied to said they wanted 7 years. I had 0 years experience. So again, it's about focusing on the transferable skills. Yep, you can't be perfect. It's about progression. If you're perfect, then you don't have room to grow. But I want to go back. Sorry, I love the chat, and it's so hard not to not focus. But I decided, remember, English is my second language, so I was really fearful of people correcting me. I decided to post on LinkedIn, and I post about my journey, about fearing about imposter syndrome. And to my surprise, it resonated with so many people. Over 500,000 people viewed my LinkedIn post and commented on how they resonated with it. So you're not alone.
You can watch it.
And so with this, I want you to take the next 3 steps of action. And this is me wrapping it up here. These are the 3 steps. When you start hearing that voice, challenge the self-doubt, okay? Challenge it. You know what you want and you know what you need. 2, I want you to advocate for yourself. And then lastly, what we talked about today, Steph Curry with the shot, shoot your shot. That's it. Don't ever miss any other opportunities that come your way. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all of your time.
All right, Veronica, thank you. That was outstanding. We'll look for a few questions and answer. I know you're also watching the chat stream We had someone's line that wasn't on mute, but I know they're working on it. So I know you're reading chat. There isn't any active Q&A, but we have some time, so we're going to have a discussion because we're two people, and actually a lot of people in the chat. We are two people that have struggled with imposter syndrome. And it's very important because I mean, in the chat, people are saying like, man, NCS was so tough. I don't feel like I belong here. But the people that are here are like the top, like you scored. It is tough by design. And the cybersecurity industry can be tough because there's lots to learn. And I think and I've been doing this, I've been in the tech industry 40 years. I've been in cybersecurity 33 years, and there's always so much to learn. But what you say, Veronica, and what you've done, because I remember talking to you before you interviewed for the chief privacy office, is you just have to go for it. Like, let them say no. And I heard people saying that. Never say no to yourself. Like, there was probably people that when they signed up for the National Scholarship Foundation, or looked at it, they're like, you know what, that's going to be too hard. I'm not going to be able to do that. There's people who don't submit an abstract for a conference because they think like, why would RSA choose my conference out of 5,000 submissions? There's people who don't apply for a job because like, why would they choose me? But you have to be the one that says, I'm going for it. I'm going to be the best that I could be. And we have a lot of very talented young adults on this call. And our message to you is just that, go for it. Don't let it hold you back. Talk to people, share, be transparent. And that's what we got to do. So we have one question. I'm sure we're going to get more. I'm talking to give folks here time to put something in the Q&A. So and this is actually a good question. And I think it's sort of a circular question, but I'll let you weigh in, Veronica. It says, I think it's easy to overcome imposter syndrome for soft skills, but how to overcome it from a technical perspective?
Yes, absolutely. And I was on the same boat from who submitted that. So I was an accountant to start off with. So I didn't have any technical expertise when I entered the cybersecurity realm. And I noticed when I jumped into the role into engineering, it was really difficult. And, you know, I just felt like, man, what did I get into? I don't belong. But what I decided to do was I scheduled time with people that I felt comfortable with that were technical, and I learned from them. I would schedule a weekly 30-minute calls to learn best practices, and that really helped out a lot. The other piece was also me working on it on my own, like taking some Python courses, you know, whatever I could to bring myself to become more technical.
Awesome. Thank you, Veronica. I'll add a little bit to that because I am technical. So the question is, how do you overcome imposter syndrome? Right? If we're technical, and I'll just use myself as an example because I can talk about myself. So I'm a distinguished engineer at Cisco. There are 5 female distinguished engineers out of a population of 30,000 engineers. And there's about 100 distinguished engineers overall. I have the technical skills. Imposter syndrome is about thinking you're just not good enough, regardless of how skilled you are. It's something just internally, and often comes from people who have challenging childhoods, broken families. And that's something Veronica and I share is that we come from damaged families to some perspective. And so it's not that you don't actually have the skills. It's you feel like no matter how good you are, you still don't have the right skills. But that can feed you in terms of in cyber field, you need to be a continual learner and learn new things. All right, so the next question here for you, Veronica, because you weren't always in cybersecurity. Now I know you started at Duo, and that probably sparked your interest, but how and why did you choose to go in the cybersecurity field?
Oh, yes. So it was the most interesting experience. When I was working at McAfee, I was in the marketing field. Again, I've had quite the trajectory. I was an accountant, then I went to marketing, and after that, cybersecurity. I attended this conference where they were demoing a live hack on a medical device. And I was like, oh my gosh, like people can hack into I forgot what the heart device is called, and literally just stop the heartbeat or change it to race up. People can, if someone didn't like me, they could hack into it. And I was like, we need to keep these people safe. And I just was like, I am determined to figure out how to keep these people safe. Not only companies, but, you know, individuals is the most important thing to me.
Awesome. Yeah, it's exciting field.
Pacemakers, yeah.
Yeah, pacemaker. Here's a question. I'm a rising senior with college applications on the horizon. Any advice for overcoming imposter syndrome when deciding on the colleges you apply to?
Apply to all of them. Let them tell you no, because the worst thing you want to live with is thinking, what if I would have applied to, let's just say Stanford, because it's near me. I wonder if I would have gone in. You're going to live with that thought of what if your entire life instead of knowing. It's better just to apply, hear yes or hear no. Either way, you won't have to live with the what if your entire life. That would just be my absolute, and I hope I helped you out. I mean, just like I said with this opportunity right here with the Chief Privacy Office, I only met 60% of the requirements. I didn't have any of the certifications. It was so easy for me to be like, you know what, I'll look for another opportunity. But I said, no, I'm going to apply and let them tell me no. And surprisingly enough, they told me yes. So what if, just do it.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I've always said, just go for it, right? Half the people don't even go for it, so they don't know the opportunities that they're missing. And the people here today, the people on this call, this top talent in the Cyber Scholarship Foundation, you are part of the 25 by 25 solution. Just keep working, keep doing the foundations, keep together in community. All right, here's another good one. I feel like imposter syndrome a lot comes down to comparing yourself with others. What are good ways to prevent comparing yourself with others in a negative way?
Oh, you know, so I don't know if you see these signs here behind me. It comes from a calendar and it's called Girl Boss. And 12 of them came because it's a calendar, of course. The only one that's not on my wall is Prove Them Wrong. And I threw that one away because I felt like Prove Them Wrong meant like I was competing. And I can't compete with anyone else. As Michelle said, you know, we come from broken families. My experience is different from everyone else's experience. My peers, for example, that I went to school with, they had their parents to help them land in the job. They had their parents to help them grow and uplift themselves. Your story is not the same. Sometimes you have to do this all on your own. So don't compare yourself because you don't have the same journey. If you just start competing with yourself and making yourself better and focusing on what you want, the sky's the limit. Because you're not going to be focusing on, I wish I was like Michelle. You're going to be focusing on, what can I do to better myself?
Awesome. Thank you. That's right. And I don't do it. And I'm certainly in a community where, if we start comparing ourselves to the other distinguished engineers, this is a very distinguished community. It can be very damaging. And so it's just kind of look the other way. And I always tell people, just be the best that you can be for you. You are an individual, and make your mark, make your stand, and this do the best way. Okay, waiting a few more minutes. I think we're pretty much out of questions. Veronica, I want to thank you. This has been an awesome talk. I'm glad I finally got to hear it. I missed the last couple times that you did it. I just really want to encourage our people on the call here today. Go look up Veronica on LinkedIn. There's a number of videos out there. Connect with the community, and it's going to be exciting. Ooh, did we get a question come in? Let me look. I'll answer that one offline, or somebody else will. All right, Veronica, thank you. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Take care.